Hi everyone and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope you're having a great day. Over the weekend, I had a discussion or a debate, an exchange with four Muslims on the channel Thought Adventure podcast. In that discussion, I was educated. I have learned a few things, and I want to talk about that now. First off, my intention in joining that discussion was not to go there and to humiliate people and to show my strength and all that. No, that was not at all the point. I accepted their invitation for two reasons. Number one is to show that I have no problem attending and participating in such discussions, no matter who the person in front of me is and no matter how many people they are. I'm willing to discuss on a topic that I don't even focus on. And people know that I do not focus, that I do not have a problem with the belief in God itself, and that anti-theism or debunking God is not among my missions and my activism. I focus on Islam and the Islamic God. Reason number two for joining was this was an opportunity to start building bridges. At least we are talking about something, because it is very hard to get together with Muslim apologists and to have actual conversations and discussions. Of course, now I would also like to see that Muslim apologists are also willing to engage in all kinds of discussions, to sit down and to have reasonable exchanges. I have certainly shown that I am ready and willing to do that. And I would also be pleased to see that Muslim apologists are willing to talk about a specific topic that they are apologetic about, which is Islam itself, not theism. The Islamic religion, Islamic doctrines, the Islamic belief, and the Islamic God. When I prepared for this discussion, I actually sat down and watched 2 or 3 of their streams to see what kinds of arguments they go into, refreshed my memory and my knowledge with these arguments. And my idea was that I would get into this discussion, ask why we are even talking about specific philosophical arguments, because Islam is not built on such arguments fundamentally, and we would then focus on my problems with the Islamic belief in Allah. Unfortunately, it didn't really go that way. One of the panelists, Jake, immediately came with the question on necessary existence and contingency, which I have always thought, along with certain other arguments, is irrelevant to my position on whether the one God is true or not. What I learned here, however, is that no matter how much you prepare, when you go into a discussion, there is a different atmosphere. And suddenly, it doesn't really go the way that you devised it all. As a result, I was sucked into a discussion that I didn't want to talk about, that I'm not interested in at all. And I tried to make that clear by saying, hey, I don't have a problem with the belief in God. I don't have a problem with an existence beyond this. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. My problem is specifically with the one God of Islam and how that God is defined. Even if you get me to agree that there is probably a creator, an originator, a God, a cause, it will not change a thing about whether I accept the one God with his qualities and expectations and his preachings and his book, because I have problems with that one. So I kept refusing to engage with that, and maybe it was a mistake on my part to not collaborate and to not be clearer on that. Their mistake, on the other hand, was that they have, as they already explained beforehand, a certain line of arguments and thoughts, a script of questions that they go with, which I think is not ideal, because you may ask some people about certain cosmological or ontological arguments and all that, while the same questions may not be as relevant to the beliefs of other people. People do not believe and disbelieve in God, in religion, in specific religions for the same reasons. And by the way, most people do not begin to believe in these religions because of these arguments at all. So I presented one of my major objections to the Islamic understanding of God, which is Islam's teaching of predetermination, that Allah decrees everything from the beginning, that he decides who believes and disbelieves, but at the same time he gives us free will, supposedly, and judges us based on our beliefs and disbeliefs and sends us to heaven and hell. This is full of internal inconsistencies. I still think I'm completely right there. And this was a topic that they didn't properly respond to, or respond to very well. The issue is that I was also wrong in this, in the way I approached it. And I had a feeling about this before the stream as well. I thought, if I want to focus on that, maybe I should lay it out in a better way, to make it clear that this problem cannot be solved, that it cannot be refuted. I did not do that. I trusted myself with that too much. So I went into that discussion and talked about the inconsistency of Allah creating us in a way that we would go to hell because we disbelieve, but then also judging us and blaming all of that on us. which I could have explained in a much better way. Then I attempted to explain how Allah's sense of reward and punishment is inconsistent with Islam's own understanding and teaching of mercy and forgiveness. But again, I could have explained even this in a better way. And I will work on that. In fact, I'm working on that very quickly. I learned two major things from this conversation. One is that just as Muslim apologists like to ignore Islam and talk about other things, I should instead insist on bringing the conversation back to Islam, which is what they are apologetic about. And I invite everybody and challenge everybody to come and have conversations with me on specifically that. And the other thing that I learned is that while the problem of Allah's injustice and inconsistency is indefensible, it needs to be laid out in a much better way. And I will take care of that immediately. Thanks everybody. Thanks for being there. Thanks for watching. I will continue with great upcoming stuff. Have a fantastic day and stay away from Islam.